Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And yesterday the groups were confirmed for stage 5 of the CDL, the final stage of the season. What do the groups look like? We're going to dive into things here in just a second. Very interesting exactly how the teams are well transpired in this one, and definitely some group of death action potentially that we will talk about in a couple of minutes time. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always, I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, wanted to talk about some challenges drama that went down a couple of days ago. Of course, John found himself in this kind of crazy situation where he gets called up to Los Angeles Thieves last minute, and then well, this is how things go in the challenger side. There was the elite qualifier that's going on, so the elite is kind of like the pro league in a way, but just the challenger side of it. So it runs alongside the pro league. I'm pretty sure like the top 8 teams in the challenger side for North America and Europe get to be in the elite, and if you're not already in the elite, then there's like an elite qualifier that comes through. Now of course teams are getting ready to go for that, and John gets called up last minute, so that means there's a load of roster shuffles, and as Hanky says, 1 hour until the elite qualifier, roster lock, and I once again are getting screwed over. No team lets go, screw you at Zinx. Now Zinx, well, definitely a player that obviously wasn't his team. Now as Hanky says, found a last minute team and auto qualified for the elite, so Hanky always manages to finesse his way back somehow, but still feel bad for Zaka, that's Zaccidentally, of course, that being Zed and Jerd. They didn't deserve to be screwed over, as well as Parasite says right here, disrespectful loser, classic stuff. Now in the replies, as you can see, I'm pretty sure Zinx comes out and says something we'll look at very briefly in a second here, but the challenger's drama just never ceases to amaze, to be honest. One thing happens, then everything kicks off. As Zed says, now can't qualify for the elite series as this weekend is now fully booked up for house stuff, thinking I already have a spot sorted up. Just crazy stuff how things do transpire indeed. Now as Zinx says, not going to apologise for doing what I think is best for me. I'm sorry though for the timing of it and what impact it's going to have on people's schedules and whatnot. Truly wish those guys the best of luck, but some people in the replies certainly not agreeing with Zinx's take on the matter. So anyway, this is what Zed says, which I thought was kind of interesting, is that he says, I am in danger with a gift coming out here, when, well, of course, the colleague announced their groups. We'll look at here in just a second, implying that, well, could Zed be back on the starting team for the Ravens? That is a good question, because they've clearly been underperforming as of late. They decided to make this move with Zaptius out and Zed out, and then they brought in Afro and Alex, of course, back from the UK. Now, the Afro move, I think, certainly makes sense. Zaptius has been a solid player over at the Parasite, but I think Afro's probably showed more bright spots, and I think he can be certainly a piece that they're going to build around for the future, maybe along with Porlex, depending on where they want to go. But Zed, removing him from the team was always a massive question mark to me, especially because Alex, as of late, just really hasn't been performing. Probably since he came back, he's been statistically the worst player in the league, and Zed, was a massive enabler. You remember earlier in the season when Zed was teaming alongside Dylan, he got great performances out of Dylan for a couple of series before things started to go downhill again. But still, I think Zed was a great piece of that team. It certainly did not deserve to get dropped, and maybe this is implying he's going to be coming back into the starting roster, but these are going to be the group. So this is, of course, how everything transpires yesterday. Let's have a look at what they are. So, of course, Group A and Group B, they start off with FaZe and Empire, top 1 and top, well, 1 in each group, right? Because they were the 2 grand finalists of the recent major. Now, FaZe get to pick first. They go for Toronto Ultra. Certainly understandable. I think they are clearly the scariest team outside of the rest of the league right now. So they put Toronto over there with the Dallas Empire. That is very interesting, really, because Empire and Ultra right now are very close, are very much at the top of the list for that number 2 seed. That's what everyone wants to get, because FaZe are going to be number 1, no problem at all. So it's Empire, Ultra, and New York that have the opportunity all to get the 2nd seed in the CDL for the World Championship. So very close between those 2 teams. So Dallas and Toronto, that's going to be a massive series already. So then Dallas pick OpTic to go to the other side. Always does kind of, not necessarily confuse me, but teams always, in these group rankings, OpTic are always picked very early on by the teams, but then, when the group play and the actual major actually transpires, OpTic are never, a true top team. They're always kind of, that, 4th, 5th, somewhere around that ballpark. I think most people right now would have them 5th in their power rankings, but still, they're always one of the first teams that get picked right here, which is interesting. So maybe teams are still scared of what OpTic can do on their day, and still believe that they have some great potential. So, of course, OpTic go on the FaZe side, which is, maybe a surprise. I think FaZe might have been expecting New York to come over here, or, someone like that to come over here, but essentially they get New York anyway, because, well, in the video, it's kind of confusing. When I watched the video for the group selection, it seems to imply that Toronto picked New York first, and then OpTic picked Minnesota Rokkr, but then Subliners go on to pick Mutineers, Thieves pick Gorillas, and Paris picked Surge. So I can only assume that they got those muddled up, because I'm pretty sure OpTic should have picked the Minnesota Rokkr here, because that's just how it works, I think. FaZe picked Toronto, then OpTic picked Rokkr, then we saw the rest of it with Subliners picking Florida, we saw Thieves pick Gorillas, and we saw Paris pick Surge. So I'm pretty sure Chicago picked Rokkr when they would have had the opportunity to pick New York, which is interesting to me. If that is indeed the case, that OpTic decided to put Rokkr to the other side as opposed to putting New York to the other side, that, well, they kind of, in a sense, gave this Group A a very stacked situation. Now, at the same time, you can look at Group B and say maybe from top to bottom here, there's some more interesting potential. Because on the Group A side, it does seem to be relatively top heavy. So to finish off the groups, we've got Thieves down here with Group A as well. Obviously, that's a potentially very scary team, right? John's in the team, Drazah's in the team, I think is a great pick. You've got Slasher and Kenny there as well. The latter half of the season towards the World Championship, that's where those players historically have got even better than they were before. So I would be very scared about the Thieves squad. I think they certainly have a few upsets in them here. And obviously, only 3 qualify from the group. Now, on the Group A side, again, as I say, it's pretty top heavy, I would say. Paris Legion and Ravens right now, not looking too good. But at the same time, Legion upset Thieves last time. They certainly have like one upset in them. Ravens, if they make this change for Zed, I think they might get somewhat better with that. They certainly have an upset in them. They've taken down New York and other squads like that before. So I think the Group A is not clear cut at all. And who knows even who comes top 3 in that group, right? Because you've got FaZe, OpTic, New York, which I guess is going to be your top 3 on paper. But then Thieves are there as well. Like, I mean, FaZe, I don't think we're going to have any issues getting through this one. Will New York manage to get to their form again with the scene? I think that they should be good for like a 3-2 performance in this group, 4-1 maybe. So you'd think they might get through. And then, of course, OpTic versus Thieves is another question mark as well there. So it's kind of strange that OpTic find themselves as second seed here, where I think a lot of people would say that Subliners should be, well, favorited over OpTic on that side of things. But Group B is no slouch either, because even though it's not quite as color coordinated, we could say as a Group A is very exciting here with the colors on this side. We've got Dallas, we've got Ultra. That's already a banger. Then we've got Rokkr thrown in there. We've got Mutineers thrown in there. So I think that Empire and Ultra, if they play how they have done, should be like clear cut for the top 2 seeds. But the rest of the teams are honestly all over the place. And who knows what happens here. Gorillas, I mean, they've obviously been tragic. I'm not really sure Mental is going to make a huge impact on this team. The fact that Chino's out is a bit of a question mark. But maybe they have some sort of honeymoon period. Florida obviously are really scary. They actually looked really good last stage and were kind of unlucky to start in losers bracket, I would argue. And then you've got Rokkr as well there who can do anything. And then Surge, who looked so much better as of late. Obviously on LAN though, maybe they won't be able to translate that back to online. So I think the fight for the 3rd seed in Group B is very tough right now. And honestly, like any of these 4 teams, maybe with the exception of Gorillas, could probably make it in there. And on the A side, it's probably clear cut which teams are going to be top 4 in the group, but which order they find themselves in, and maybe we see some massive upsets here. I'm not really sure. It's going to be a chaotic stage, there is no doubt about that. Now, the full stage has actually been pushed back an entire week, as we'll look at here in just a second, because I think that, well, they were thinking, all right, we've got Independence Day on the 4th of July, that I think would have been the Sunday, so the viewership already hasn't been good. Probably not the best idea to have them play on that day, so let's push it back by a week. This actually, I think, is a great thing, right? It gives a bit of a break for the players. Like, it feels like we've had so much non-stop action, and if the stage 5 was starting again on July the 1st, like, I don't know, I feel like that would be a really quick turnaround. It seems like every stage, honestly, I wouldn't mind like a 2-week break between the stages, just to give people a bit of a break, because the repetition is certainly there, and I think people always used to like it back in the day when maybe we didn't have league play, or we didn't have like league play matches, let's just say, through the CDL, and it was just events after events after events. Like every month or every like 3 weeks or something, there'd be a major event, and you kind of maybe we're watching some scrims, like the 2K to be going on, you'd be trying to piece together which teams are actually the best, and then when it comes to the major event, that's actually when you get to see which teams actually are the best. So you know, it kind of I liked that delay in a way that you could kind of see how teams are progressing over time, whereas now it's kind of just like, okay, it's non-stop action, teams maybe don't have much opportunity to keep improving. So July the 8th, which does also mean, like, let's just think about this for a second. So July the 8th, then July the 15th, then July the 22nd, so the July the 29th is going to be when the major begins. So the major's going to finish early August, so I imagine they'll have like 2-3 weeks off before then the World Championship in probably the end of August, somewhat similar to it was before. So I think honestly, this probably makes for a slightly better schedule right here than we've had before. Now I thought that I'd mention this as well from the scrap side. This is remarkable stuff. Speaking of that Group A and the Paris Legion side of things, changed roles 6 times this year. Gotta tip it. I don't understand why Paris keep doing this. Every single time that they're not performing well, I guess the team doesn't really have any money or doesn't want to like spend any money on getting anyone else into the team. And they did make a change, to be fair to them. Like Classic went out, they brought Zaptis into their team, so they have tried something. They brought Tempid early on actually as well. So you know, they've made some moves at the very least. But every single time that things aren't going their way, they just change roles and Scraps is using something else. So pretty incredible to me to see that this happens every single time. Will it be enough for them to get over line here in that Group A though? That is another question entirely. They still could manage it. If they have a crazy stage, they might still qualify for the World Championship, but they'd need Florida to have an absolute shocker, which probably isn't going to happen. But these are some Lion Man cards just to finish off the video right here, just talking about really the Z side of things, right? With Alex performing, I mean, look at his Search and Destroy KD, it's a 0.49, not pretty at all. And still, I mean, Afro played pretty well, Paul X played pretty well. These other two guys, Shawnee and Alex, didn't have the greatest stages by any means. 1 in 5 match count in that, of course, that that stage 4. So whether they'll make any changes, Alex maybe dropping out, Zed coming back in, might change things up. At the same time, that Group A is going to be a bloodbath no matter how the cookie crumbles, to be honest. And this is the Paris Legion side of things, where Scraps had a, well, overall 81. The rest of the guys not looking too pretty in terms of statistics, 2 in 4 match counts, and well, maybe some sort of role change for Scraps might make things a little bit better, but it's tough to say, to be honest, because Legion seem to be a team that very much likes running like 3 ARs on the map, and especially on a map like Moscow Hardpoint or something, and maybe not quite suited right now to what a lot of the top teams are doing at the present time. Let's just to finish off the video, look through the schedule for the stage then. So OpTic, I mean, as is tradition really, never playing the first game of the day, they're always right at the death. But well, this Tuesday, 3rd July, they play the Paris Legion first up, then they play Subliners on the Sunday, that's the last game of the day. Some pretty nice games certainly to start off the New York home series. I'm pretty sure Zuma and Ben are doing like a live flank on one of these days at the very least as well, maybe after the Sunday, which is pretty exciting stuff. Then the second week is hosted by the Minnesota Rokkr. Let's have a look at the money matchups right here. FaZe versus OpTic actually is on this Sunday. Empire versus Rokkr final up on that day. FaZe versus Thieves. So some big games. I think most of the big games people are going to be keeping their eyes on from that Group A side of things, but certainly there could be some massive upsets here. It's getting down to the point of the season where every series matters an incredible amount, as really it has for a while right now. And while OpTic actually finished their final match on the Saturday against the Thieves, that's pretty interesting. Empire versus Ultra to finish off the Seattle home series. FaZe New York as well. So certainly some banger matchups. I like how these groups are played out. I mean, what do you think is going to happen in these groups, right? Because of course the major is going to be back on LAN. If I didn't make that clear in the entire video, these stage matches are going to be done online. Then as it has been tradition, then the major is going to be on LAN once again. So of course it matters an incredible amount to actually well, get top 3 in your group, qualify for winners at the LAN, and give yourself a decent chance to win it. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. I really upset these you record and you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and have grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care, and I will see you next time.